In the heart of Eastern Europe, stretching from the forests of Transylvania to the rolling hills of Slovakia, lie the ancient Muntii Carpati, or Carpathian Mountains. These mountains have long been shrouded in mystery and legend, their dense forests and jagged peaks the setting for countless stories of adventure, love, and ancient magic. For centuries, the Carpathians have stood as silent guardians of the land, their beauty unmatched and their secrets known only to those who dwell in their shadow. One such legend, passed down through generations of Carpathian shepherds and woodcutters, tells the story of Daciana, a young woman from a small village hidden deep within the mountains. Her name, meaning of the Dacians, was a reminder of her people's ancient connection to the land, for they were the descendants of the fierce Dacians who once ruled these mountains and valleys before the time of Rome. Daciana was known for her beauty and her spirit, with dark hair that flowed like a river and eyes as green as the Carpathian forests. But more than her beauty, it was her bond with the mountains that made her stand out. From a young age, she could sense the pulse of the earth beneath her feet, hear the whispers of the wind in the trees, and understand the language of the animals that roamed the wild. Daciana's village was nestled in a remote valley, protected on all sides by towering peaks and dense forests. Life in the village was simple and hard, with the villagers relying on their flocks of sheep, the fruits of the forest, and the knowledge of their ancestors to survive. But they also knew that the mountains were more than just a source of sustenance. They were alive, filled with spirits and powers that could not be ignored. It was said that in the highest peaks of the Carpathians, beyond where any mortal dared to venture, lived the Zana, the fairy queen who ruled over all the spirits of the mountains. The Zana was both feared and revered, for she had the power to bless the land with abundance or curse it with famine. The villagers often left offerings of wildflowers, honey, and milk at the edges of the forest, hoping to appease her and gain her favor. One autumn evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and the sky turned a deep, fiery red, Daciana heard a voice on the wind. It was faint, like a distant melody, but unmistakably calling her name. She had heard stories of people being lured into the depths of the mountains by the voices of the spirits, never to return, but something about this voice was different. It felt familiar, comforting, as though the mountains themselves were calling to her. That night, unable to ignore the call, Daciana set out from her village, following the path that wound up the mountainside. The air was crisp and cool, filled with the scent of pine and the distant sound of wolves howling in the forest. The moonlight illuminated her way, casting long shadows on the ground, and guiding her steps as she climbed higher and higher. After hours of walking, she reached a clearing at the edge of the tree line. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient oak tree, its gnarled branches stretching out like the arms of an old, wise giant. Beneath the tree sat a figure draped in flowing robes of green and gold, her hair glowing like silver in the moonlight. It was the Zana, the fairy queen of the Carpathians. Daciana, the Zana spoke in a voice that was both soft and powerful, like the murmur of a mountain stream and the roar of a waterfall combined. I have watched over you since the day you were born, for you are of the mountains, just as I am. The time has come for you to take your place among the guardians of this land. Daciana knelt before the Zana, her heart pounding in her chest. I am honored, but I am just a simple villager. How can I protect these mountains? The Zana smiled, a knowing look in her ancient eyes. You have the spirit of the earth in you, child. The mountains have chosen you. You feel their heartbeat, you hear their song. But more than that, you have the courage and the love for this land that is needed to keep the balance. With a wave of her hand, the Zana summoned a gust of wind that swirled around Daciana, lifting her hair and filling the air with the scent of wildflowers. When the wind subsided, Daciana felt a warmth spread through her, a connection to the mountains that was stronger than ever before. She looked down and saw that the earth itself had marked her. On her wrist was a symbol, a spiraling pattern that resembled the ancient Dacian carvings found in the caves and rocks of the Carpathians. This is your bond with the mountains, the Zana said. With it, you will be able to call upon the spirits of the forest, the rivers, and the earth to aid you. But remember, power alone is not enough. You must always act with wisdom and compassion, for the balance of the mountains is delicate, and even the smallest action can have great consequences. With that, the Zana faded into the shadows of the oak tree, leaving Daciana alone in the clearing. But she was no longer afraid. She could feel the presence of the mountains all around her, their strength and wisdom flowing through her veins. She knew what she had to do. In the years that followed, Daciana became a protector of the Carpathians. She roamed the forests and the high peaks, helping those in need and keeping the balance between the human world and the world of the spirits. The villagers spoke of her in hushed tones, calling her the guardian of the Carpathians, and leaving offerings at the edge of the forest in her honor. But Daciana never sought fame or glory. She knew that her true duty was to the land and the mountains that had given her life and purpose. As time passed, the stories of Daciana became legends, told by firesides on cold winter nights. The Carpathians remained wild and beautiful, their secrets hidden deep within the forests and peaks. And though the world outside the mountains changed, the people who lived in their shadow knew that as long as there were those who listened to the whispers of the earth, the mountains would always be protected. And so, the Muntii Carpati stood tall and silent, their ancient peaks watching over the land as they had for millennia. For in their heart, the spirit of Daciana lived on, a reminder that the bond between humanity and nature was as strong as the mountains themselves.